For this demonstration, I'm going to make a glass stringer or glass fiber. And the way this is done, I'm heating up a section of glass in the flame. I don't want it to get too hot that I lose control over it. And here I'm using the rod that I just welded together, the red and the yellow. It doesn't matter. So I essentially want to make a little Maria where I'm basically gathering up a little bit of that glass in the center. And I need this glass to be hot, but I don't want it too hot. Now that I've got it hot, I'm going to give it a moment to set up, and now I gently pull. And you can rotate. This is kind of thin, so I'll give it a little bit of a rotation, but that's not that important. And now I've thinned out the glass, and I'm on my way to making a stringer. This is probably closer to, I would say, 2 millimeters, 3 millimeters, what I've just pulled. Actually, I would say, I take that back. I would say this is actually closer to 1 millimeter in diameter that I've just pulled down. The stringer itself, I believe, is about 3 millimeters. These stringers can be very useful for artistic glass blowing. However, making a very thin glass fiber is something that can be very useful in the chemistry lab. When I was in graduate school, we would take borosilicate glass, pull down about a 5 millimeter rod so that it was less than 1 millimeter in diameter. And then we would use that glass fiber to slide crystals into very small capillary tubes that we used for X-ray crystallography. The largest capillary tube we had, I want to say, was 0.7 millimeters, maybe a little bit bigger. And then we had some capillary tubes that were down to about 0.2 millimeters or thereabouts. So if you had a glass fiber like this, that's about 1 millimeter in diameter, obviously that's not going to work. So you'd have to pull that down. So you would make a whole assortment of glass fibers of different thicknesses, kind of like golf clubs. And then when you were mounting your crystal for research, you would use a glass fiber to transfer the crystal into the capillary tube. All of our work was air sensitive, so we would actually do that transfer under nitrogen. But we had to make our own glass fibers. So this technique of making a glass stringer is exactly the same as what I used to do in graduate school when I had very little. I mean, that was like one of the techniques that I learned in scientific glass blowing. Not because I wanted to learn it, because I had to learn it, because I needed to make those fibers. So a little exercise like this, welding two pieces of rod together and then pulling them down to make them more narrow, whether you take it all the way down to less than 1 millimeter or keep it so it's still kind of stiff like this, really doesn't matter.